Hi everyone, Haley here from The Foiled Plan. So today I am excited because Htvront reached out to me, and I've never used any of their products before, but they reached out and asked if I'd be interested in testing out their auto heat press. I've used a few different heat presses in the past. I have a purple clamshell heat press currently. I love it. Obviously it's purple, so checks that box for sure. And if you want to check out that video review, I will link it somewhere up here or down in the description box. But today's focus is the auto heat press. Basically, I'm going to open the box, see what it's like to work on a project, and I'll kind of give you some specs along the way so you can make an educated decision about whether or not this product would be right for you. So let's get into it. The first thing I do want to mention, it ships fairly quickly. They do sell it on Amazon and then also on their own website. I'll put links to their website down below. They gave me some codes for sales that they are having right now at the time of this video anyways, and I'll also link it in my Amazon shop. Let's open it up. So right on top we have the little manual, and then they also include a nice new Teflon sheet, which will definitely come in handy. Normally with my heat presses, I like to keep the box that it came in, but this box already has some damage to it, so I think I'm just gonna use my blade and cut down the sides and then open the box that way. I'm so excited. I get so giddy about craft supplies. It's very aesthetically pleasing. They do also have this in a color called light blue, which in my opinion looks more like a minty green, unless it looks different in person, I don't know. So right away I noticed this top section here and the base is like a matte plastic, which is white, and it's more of like a creamy white tone, and then it's got a little bit more warmth in the white, and then this white here is a glossy, and it's more of a cool toned white, but it still looks very pretty. It's aesthetically pleasing. There's these grooves on the side for you to hold onto the machine to pick it up, which at first I didn't notice that until I actually picked it up to move it, and that's exactly where I put my hands. So clearly they've got them in the right spot. This cord is 59 inches long. So if you're looking to set it up in a specific place, but you want to make sure that you can plug this into the wall, because you should never plug anything like this into an extension cord, then at least you know if there is an outlet within 59 inches of where you're setting this, you should be good to go. So the power consumption for this unit is 1500 watts. It's a good idea to have this as the only thing that's being plugged into your outlet because of how much power it draws. So when I was designing this room during our home renovation, I had the electrical set up to have its own breaker on different outlets because I knew I was going to be plugging in some heavy duty things in here like heat presses. If that's not the case where you live, then maybe don't plan on making a t-shirt, blow drying your hair, ironing your clothes, and running the dishwasher all at the same time on the same circuit. Just something to be mindful of. So it's pretty easy to move. It's about 38 pounds. The actual heat plate on here is 15 inches by 15 inches, which is interesting because on the Cricut Auto Press, it's a smaller heat plate, but it takes up more space, whereas this takes up less space but has a larger heat plate than that one. Interesting. The maximum temperature that this heats up to is 410 degrees Fahrenheit or 210 degrees Celsius, which means not only can you do your heat transfer projects, but you can also do sublimation as well. Now there are a lot of people that are getting into DTFs, which is direct to film printing. That you need a lot of pressure for, and I've seen other experiments of people doing DTF transfers and they work with this. So sublimation, HTV, DTF, all the things, it seems like you can use this for those. So Htvront says that this machine takes approximately 6 minutes to heat up to its highest temperature. So if you're not heating it up that full 410 degrees Fahrenheit, then it will take less than 6 minutes. Also, something that's neat with this that I've never had with my clamshell heat presses is that it will beep when it's up to temperature, which is kind of nice because oftentimes I will set my clamshell heat press up and then I'll get doing other things to keep myself busy, not realizing that my heat press had been already up to temperature for X amount of time. So that's a nice little feature. Now there's two things that I do want to mention, and that is that the timer on this machine only goes up to 99 seconds. So if you are doing those sublimation projects which require you to press for longer, you're going to have to do multiple presses. So that's something to keep in mind if you are a solely sublimation user. Okay, I'm just gonna get this plugged in and turned on, and then we're gonna attempt our first project. I'm just gonna hit the power button. Ta-da! So as soon as you hit the power button, it immediately starts to heat up, and that top panel has raised itself up. I'm gonna change the temperature to the setting that they recommend for this heat transfer vinyl that they sent me. It's a rose gold, and I'm going to be applying it onto a 100% cotton t-shirt from Michaels. I was very curious as to how this was going to be to pull out, if it was going to require force, but it is really light and smooth. I could probably do it with one finger. It just feels like nice quality. And then this mat is hooked on here by elastic bands. And there's like a very faint click noise once you get it back as far as it needs to go. So it just made the beep noise, and I noticed this R button has changed from a flashing red color to a solid green color. So that means we're good to go. I know I just turned this on, so it hasn't been on for very long, but just feeling the space around, I don't feel like a lot of heat escaping, whereas with a clamshell style heat press, when it's open heating up, it's just blasting out and just fills my craft room with heat. Now I'm gonna load up my project and we'll do the first press. Let's try the auto feature. So that's this button right here. So as soon as it clicks back in, then it's gonna automatically drop down. And it automatically detects the amount of pressure that's needed. I'm gonna leave this on here because it is a cold peel material. And in the meantime, I'm gonna flip over and decide where the design is gonna go on the back. I feel like every time I put a design on a shirt, no matter how straight it is, when I lay it down, I always have to pick it up and just look at it from an arm's length away. I think that's gonna be good. So let's pull this out. So one thing I kind of noticed is it wants to roll back in as I'm kind of moving the shirt around on it. So from underneath, I kind of am holding it with my hands if I need to move the shirt up at all. I forgot it's an auto heat press. Okay, so I'm gonna wait for this to cool and then I'll be able to peel both sides. All right, so I just finished my very first project using the Htvront Auto Heat Press, and now I'm gonna give you my final thoughts. So I'm gonna share the things that I love and the things that I didn't love about it. That way you can make an informed decision about whether or not this is gonna be the right addition to your crafting space. As you know, on my channel, I'm always gonna share with you the good and the bad. It doesn't matter if the product was given to me or I put out money for it, because I would never want you to put out money for something and then it's not what you expected. And honestly, the price of everything right now is so crazy. So if you're going to take the time to listen to my video and take my advice about whether or not to purchase something, then I better be giving you some good information. So let's get started with the things that I don't love about it. Now, some of these things on my list are pretty nitpicky, but I just wanted to make sure that I was covering all bases and making sure I'm giving you as much information as possible. To start off, for the things that I don't love, there is no grounding wire on this cord. I did talk to my husband and he said most heat products will have a grounding wire, but it's very unlikely that something like this you're actually gonna get a shock from. So I'm not overly concerned now that I talked to him, because he's right into electrical stuff. I would hope that in the future that they would add the grounding wire. This next thing is probably pretty niche. If you're not a content creator, then this is probably not going to make a difference to you. But any heat press I've had in the past was quiet, like there was no sound emitted from it. Whereas this, I believe it has a fan. That's the sound that it has while it's running. I'll try and insert a clip. So that's what it sounds like. It's not like crazy offensive, like you can still talk, you can hear yourself and everything, but it is just something to be mindful of if you are a content creator. If you're gonna be filming videos, if you're gonna be going live while using it, just note that you will have that fan sound. It goes the entire time. I will probably just film voiceover videos using this, because then I don't have to worry about the fan sound. Again, very niche, something to think about. Another thing that I'm not thrilled on is that it has a max 99-second timer before it releases and the press is done. And the reason that matters to me is because I do a lot of sublimation stuff. So sublimation usually needs longer pressing times than say HTV does. So I know that I'm gonna have to do multiple presses. And the issue that comes with doing multiple presses with sublimation is sometimes you can get ghosting. So basically, if your design moves at all, then you can get almost like a faint double line of what your original design was. That I'm gonna have to test out. So right now that's sitting in the don't love category, but I haven't actually tested it out. So we'll see how that goes. I know other people have, and I didn't really see issues on their end, but I want to test that out for myself. Something that other creators have had issues with or find it a downside that I do want to mention is that you do not have control over the pressure. So it auto adjusts to whatever you have in there, and it just knows how much pressure to add. If you're someone that works with material that requires a very specific amount of pressure, then sometimes you just have to shim it. So you could add some cardboard or something underneath here to elevate the item that you're pressing. Then the pressure would be adjusted according to that. So I think there's workarounds, but you don't have control over it. Personally, I'm just putting it in that category because that might be an issue for some. I kind of like not having to think about it. So that's kind of like, I like it and I don't like it. Two final things. So when this tray is all the way back and locked in to its pressing position, there is maybe about an inch space between this and the back of the unit. And if you press things like hoodies or blankets or anything that has a lot of material, that's something that you may run into issues with. I saw a lot of people when they were using this, instead of putting the top of it at the top of this plate, they turn it and go sideways because it's just so much fabric to have draped back in here. If it doesn't make it far enough back in to hit that click point, then it's not going to press down. I wanted to make sure you are aware of that. The last thing that I don't love, I kind of wish there was a way that while this was fully slid out, you could lock it, because when I'm making adjustments with the t-shirt, it does move back in. And that's it for the things that I don't love. So the very first thing on my list of things that I love is the price point. So this is really only comparable to the Cricut Auto Press, unless there's something else out there and I'm just not aware of it. The Cricut Auto Press is this much at the time of this video, which is wild. And this currently on Amazon is $440, and you can buy it on the Htvront website currently for $400, and they always have like sales, so it's even less than that. And oftentimes on Amazon there's sales too. I should mention these are Canadian prices as well. I'm giving you Canadian prices because I'm from Canada. So price point right off the bat, we love to see it. Next thing that I love is just the overall look. It's a pretty machine. It looks fancy. It matches my space. I try and keep things a certain way in here, and I feel like it matches the vibes. You have the two color choices. I went with the crisp, clean white. I like the way it looks. Another thing that I love about it, comparing it to my other heat press, is that it does not emit a lot of heat. So if it didn't have that fan, I'm sure there would be a lot more heat emitted. So you kind of have to take one with the other. I will take the fact that it doesn't send out a lot of heat over having it be completely silent. I like that it gets up to 410 degrees Fahrenheit with all of the types of projects I do. That works perfectly for me. I kind of already touched on the pressure thing, but I like that I don't have to think about the pressure setting. I mean, to each their own on if you like that or if you don't. Less guesswork. Another thing that I really like is that it is super easy to set up. I feel like you don't even really have to set anything up. You just plug it in and you are good to go. This is all super easy to use. I like the screen on it. It doesn't flicker out and it stays at the appropriate temperature. I like the auto feature where it'll just go down on its own as soon as that tray slides back. I think that's cool. I really like that you can put in your own custom heat and time settings and it will remember that. I like that whatever your last heat setting was, even if you turn it off and turn it back on, it'll remember that same heat setting you just used. I also like that it doesn't give you the harsh pressing lines on your garment with that sort of rounded beveled edge. That's like a nice touch. I like how smoothly this tray slides out and goes back in. You really only need like one finger to pull it out and push it back in. So if you're someone that doesn't have a lot of strength in your hands, it's great. Another thing that I absolutely love is how even the heat is. So I didn't have to worry about any cold pockets or anything like that. And I noticed that the temperature stayed at what it needed to be the whole time that I was pressing. It didn't fluctuate or go up and down. The most even heat possible is definitely what you're going to want. Jump scare. This is the glamorous look I have while I'm editing. Sometimes in my videos I have to hop in while I'm doing editing and put a little clip in because there's something I forgot to mention. And did I catfish you? Yes, I did. And that is that the heat press actually has an auto off feature, like a safety feature. So after 10 minutes of inactivity, the heat press will shut itself off, which is chef's kiss in my opinion, because my clamshell heat presses, they will just continue to stay on. And I have accidentally forgot about my heat press before and then walked away, and then I'll come back like a significant amount of time later and I'm like, why is my craft room so unbelievably hot still? And then I'll see that it's still on. So I really like that feature, so I'm adding that to my pros list. I just had to hop in here looking like a drowned rat to share that with you. Okay. back to our regular scheduled programming. So that's the list of things that I love and don't love about this auto heat press from Htvront. Overall, great machine. I think it's awesome. This is definitely going to find a new permanent home in my craft room. It's not going anywhere. I hope you found this review and unboxing helpful. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments section below. As I mentioned, I will put links to everything down there, as well as my social media, so that you can hang out with me in between videos. I am gonna go try this shirt on and figure out what I'm gonna make next. I hope you have a super awesome day, and that's all I'm gonna say. Bye!